Hey guys, John here, and welcome back to John's RC. So today I am back with the E-flite F-15 Eagle 64mm EDF Jet. This was my first 64mm EDF Jet. I've had this for around 2 years now, and it looks like everything is still working. So I haven't flown her in about 1.5 years. She's kind of just been sitting collecting dust in my garage. But I mean, yes, so she still looks beautiful, and everything is still working as intended. So I'm here because I wanted to do a real flight versus actual flight comparison. If you've seen my RealFlight Evolution video, you would know that the simulator has the F-15 Eagle from E-flite, and I wanted to see how that translates to real life. So I have this bound to my Spektrum NX-10, and I bound it using the preset that E-flite already set. So I'm using the stock settings that E-flite wants me to use, and I'm hoping that correlates to the settings that RealFlight has. So yeah. The 4-channel model. They have your throttle, ailerons, elevator. Yeah. There's no physical moving vertical stabilizer, but it has a steerable nose steer, so that kind of counts as a 4-channel. Alright, taking off. Take off. This is basically going to be the remaiden because I haven't flown it in a bit. Taking off. I'm running a 4-cell 2200 milliampere battery pack. Oh, there's another F-15 in the air with me. Lots of jets in the air. Okay. So the roll rate is pretty fast. I don't have safe programmed on this thing. I feel like if I wanted it to be more scale, then I should probably add a bit more expo, or just add like rough rate. The battery seems to be holding up pretty well. She flies really, really nicely. I do need to pull a bit hard on the elevator. It seems like the battery's a bit too heavy for her. Yeah, I'm pulling pretty hard to get this thing. And the rates are still pretty high, so if you want a bit more of a scale bird, then you should probably add more expo or rates. How much flight time do I have? I forgot to add that. Okay, so I should probably start landing very soon. I have like 45 seconds on the clock. Landing! Clear! Now I'm over the canal. As soon as this pilot lands, then we're going to start landing too. The inverted capability of this bird is very, very nice. Such a beautiful landing speed. This one is easy to land. The Andy probably is too, huh? Yeah. Landing! I can see the ocean. Hey guys, sorry about that. So my dad accidentally stopped recording the flying, and we lost some of the footage, but I think we have enough amount of flight time on that video for you to get an understanding of how the plane flew and looked and feel. So now I'm in RealFlight Evolution, and you can see here it has the E-flite F-15 Eagle 64mm EDF, and this is the same model that I've had in the video. So I'm just going to press fly here, and then you can see everything. It's moving. I'm using my Spektrum NX-10 to control it. This is the same controller I used for the flight video, so it should feel roughly about the same in terms of like flying with my hands. So I'm going to be taking off without any type of stabilization because I can't really get a feel when it does have stabilization. So let's just go. Okay, so right at the bat, you can already hear the sounds are not that realistic, and does seem to be flying okay. It's very stable. I think it's actually running a bit nose heavy, so that's kind of interesting. Yeah, just like a tad bit nose heavy. And it actually does feel roughly about the same, not like completely like this same exact model, but it does feel like insanely similar. I'm seeing that the throws on the one on RealFlight are actually higher than the ones that are in real life. I'm sorry. And that's odd because on my F-15, I just bound it like the exact way Spektrum wants it because I bound it off of the what's the word? Sorry. I bound it off the little bind and fly list, so it's like just like a default setup. Sorry, preset. That's the word. There's an F-15 preset, and I just bound it off of that. And I'm pretty sure in there was like no expo. I like changed it, and with 0 expo and 0 and 100% throw, it was actually slower to turn than this, so it's not exactly the same. It's pretty darn similar. This is kind of like the case that we had with the E-flite Viper 64mm. Because that was also very, very similar. Not like exactly the same, it was kind of rough around the edges, but it's like kind of the same case we have going on here, where the throws are not the same. It's either higher, and on the Viper it was lower, I'm pretty sure. But everything else feels the same, like the characteristics, the handling. The speeds look like they match up. The stall speeds too. I want to say inverted is slightly more difficult in the simulator. No, sorry, not the simulator, in real life. I feel like I do need to put a little bit more elevator input to get her going inverted in real life than in here, because I don't have to put much stick input for it to stay still. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and land her. Then I'm gonna reset so I have more battery time, and I'm gonna go again. I'm also noticing, if you look on the top right, the battery that the simulator wants this plane to use is a 2500 milliamp hour, and that might be the reason why it's slightly nose heavy. because in real life I'm running a Spektrum 4-cell 2200 mAh battery pack, and that seemed really nice. That was like the sweet spot for it. Or I'm sorry, I might have not been Spektrum. I'm not sure if my mind is playing tricks on me. It might have been an Admiral battery. But it's like basically the same thing in terms of weight. So I'm using a 2200 in real life, and this is using a 2500. So the only differences I'm seeing here is one, obviously the sound, but that doesn't change anything at all. And the throws are slightly higher on this model, on the sim, and that changes the flight style just a little bit. It makes it more aerobatic, and it makes inverted handling a lot easier than in real life. But what I'm seeing roughly is like the flight characteristics are about the same. The speed's around the same speed. The stall speed is the same. You can see here. So I think Knife Edge and Horizon did a pretty darn good job modeling this in real flight, because really similar. And I'm gonna get a little bit more flight time on this model because it's using a 2500, but that's only like 5 or 10 seconds more. And when I fly my jets, I fly them like at 100% throttle the entire time, unless I'm like inverted like this or something. And you can see the battery is depleting very fast. But yeah, the power system, I've said this before, but the power system matches up very well. The twin 64s do supply a lot of power for this jet in real life. I'm sorry, it's not a twin 64, it's one 64mm fan. But even with just one 64mm fan, it does supply a lot of power. And standard handling, like loops, rolls, it handles the same. Like, this thing likes to dip down whenever you roll or loop, and then it requires a bit more input than standard jets whenever you do a loop in real life. It doesn't apply to this one because, like I said, the throws are a bit higher in real flight. But everything seems really nice. So I'm just going to go ahead and land this bird. Bleed as much speed as possible. And this is one of the easier jets to land. You can just kind of like plop it onto the ground. What's nice on this one is it doesn't like to tip the wing whenever you're taxiing on this bird. I've done that so many times in the real one. Okay, so that was my 2 flights actually. That was my 2 flights on RealFlight Evolution with the F-15 Eagle. And for my final verdict, it's actually really similar. It's obviously not going to be like the exact same model. And it kind of depends on what type of like setup you're running. So the battery, the weight of the battery, how new it is, the motor could have been worn out a bit, and also like your expo, your rates, your throws, all of that. So what I've noticed on this one is the model on this software has a bit more throw than the one on real life, and I found that quite interesting because I have like 0% expo and 100% rates on my F-15 Eagle, and so I don't know what type of rates this thing's running because it definitely has a higher roll rate, and the elevator rates are also quite high. But um, the power system matches up to the real one. It's like a 164 millimeter fan in the middle, and then it does supply a lot of power to the plane. But from what I'm seeing, it's actually really, really nice because it kind of matches up, or does match up, to the flight characteristics of the one in real life. The stall speed's the same, and it just handles really, really closely from one each other. Like when you roll, it's gonna dip down a bit, and when you do your loops, you need to apply a bit more elevator input than I normally need to put in um, with all my other planes and jets. But yeah, so just these really, really tiny things that don't really matter when it comes to just like the overall big picture. But yeah, it's not the, it's obviously not going to be the same. But yeah, it's a really, really good model, and I think Horizon and Knife Edge Software did a great job in modeling this model. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So thanks for tuning to John's RC. And if you're new to this channel, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye guys, I'll see you in the next one.